Do you feel like there is so much information lately out there about healing and trauma, how to do things in a healthy way? And there are even so many different explanations about your feelings, about manifestation, about getting out of the matrix, and especially about spirituality and so on. And plus, all the courses and things that people are selling around it. Does that also make you feel overwhelming, not knowing what is true, what is even real, or not knowing if people are genuinely trying to help you, or if they are just trying to scam you, or even make things worse? So, for every trend and everything new that comes out, every new trend, there is always a downside and an upside to it. It always goes both ways. And unfortunately, I hear a lot of people saying how bad it has gotten because now everybody only talks about trauma and healing, especially spirituality and so on. And yeah, it is true. It has become kind of a trend. But in my opinion, it is about time to express and talk about everything that is happening inside of us and around us. And to be honest, when have humans ever had this many people openly talking about their feelings, their emotions, what they have experienced, and more about how toxic things actually are, and all that without being imprisoned or condemned? Of course, even though some of us still have to be careful with what they say, it has gotten a lot better than before. This kind of expression was never really allowed in the past, not at this scale. And that's why this all makes me a lot more happy than preoccupied or worried. And here I want to share my perspective on how all this amount of information doesn't actually overwhelm or confuse me, and how we are actually able to choose what is best for us. Yes, it is true that you can get really overwhelmed pretty fast when you are trying to understand what is happening to you, especially in the beginning, and how to release it, heal it, and handle it. And for me, I think the most confusing part is when people that are sharing this information, they tend always to say things like, this is the number one thing, or this is the only way to do it, or you are doing it all wrong, this is the only way to do this, and so on. So, first of all, there is never, ever just one thing that works for everyone. It doesn't exist. People who say this are often trying to get your attention, to pull you, and to keep you engaged in what they are saying or selling. But this doesn't mean that what they are saying is necessarily wrong or bad. You don't have to stop listening to them. But it is important to be aware of that when they speak like that, so that you know that that is serving a very specific purpose. So for me, when the person says that, but I'm still interested in listening to what the person has to say, I always try to listen that carefully and stay aware exactly of that while listening to the conversation. And here's the reason why I say this, that there is no one thing for everyone. I am sure that you're already fully aware that you have different tastes than others. You also have a different body type than other people around you. And because of that, your metabolism is also different. We all know people who eat a lot of junk food and they are still very, very thin, while others eat the same amount or even less of that junk food and instantly gain a lot more weight. And another thing where you can clearly see differences is in your state of mind. Maybe you are feeling down today and sad or cranky. And then while other people around you are feeling actually very good and energetic and so on. So if we can all see how one group of friends or family can have so many different states and experiences, then it's safe to say that our emotional state and what we are going through in life, it's also different. For example, a friend of mine is right now going through a grieving state, and I am not. So it makes sense that there cannot be this one thing that works for everyone or one single answer for everything. But now, what about all these different type of information about the same thing? How can we be sure, or how do we know what is best for us at this moment? And how can we not get overwhelmed in this process? So I'm going to start this explanation with an example. Let's imagine going to a supermarket. It has to be a really big one. When you enter there, do you instantly get overwhelmed? Or do you tend to just, go inside and go aisle by aisle and look at what they have, and you buy what you need or what you want? Most of us don't feel overwhelmed here. But have you noticed that just for rice, there is a whole aisle full of different types? And even within the same type of rice, there are different brands. And the same here goes for shampoos, makeup, and everything else. Now, do you remember how you started to do your own shopping? How you chose your products in the beginning? Some of us started buying the things our parents were already buying. So we recognize them, we already know they are good, so we just continue to buy them. But other times, you are standing in front of the shelf and let's say that you want to buy pasta, but you have never bought that before and you don't even remember what brand your parents used. So what do we do here? We either look at the shelf and pick what looks familiar or even what packaging looks more appealing, if it is within our budget, or we choose a well-known TV brand because it looks so good on that ad. But still, we take this new thing home, we cook it, we try it for the first time. And maybe the second time we go shopping, we buy that again. Or we pick another brand or another type of pasta and we try it again. And this process repeats over and over for everything. Your hygiene products, cleaning products, food, and so on. Until eventually you go there and there isn't much new that you are trying anymore because you have found the products that are the best for you right now. So this is not much different from what we see online. You can look at it the same way. When you go to the supermarket and buy something you have already bought so many times, you do it because it feels really good, you like it. But how do you discover that it was good at the first place? Because you had to try it once for the first time. So something caught your eyes and felt appealing, so you were drawn to it and you tried and experienced it. And after that, your senses, so your body told you, yes, this is really good for me, I like it, and you continue to buy it because of it. And this same approach in a supermarket is what makes you not feel overwhelmed when you go there and are surrounded by so many different things and types and brands. So what if you apply the same approach to what we see online about healing, spirituality, or whatever it is that you are needing or whatever it is you are curious about? This is actually the way that I see all this information out there, whether it's online, whether it is outside, all the different kind of religions. This is the way I look at it. And it is what allows me to not feel overwhelmed. This is why I tend to see this a lot more in a positive way than a negative way. So if you can see that you are needing something that is not exactly the same as others, and you go online and trying to find answers, but you are faced with so much information, try to calmly notice what is your body, your intuition telling you to go explore. Where do you feel more drawn to? What feels curious or interesting to you? One tip, by the way. The more a subject makes you question things, the more juicy it is for you. But even when you hear things from other people and not online, you are just talking to them, Become aware of what the person is telling you or advising you. Does it even make sense to you? Does it resonate, or is it a completely no-go for you? This doesn't mean that what the person is saying or sharing is wrong. It might just not serve you the same way at this moment. For example, a couple of years ago, I started doing cold exposure therapy with him off. And it was something that was completely life-changing for me. It improved my immune system. A lot of my body issues have changed, and it helped me the most in calming down my overthinking. It was a very effective way for me to regulate and not spiral mentally. So it was really great for me. But for my mother, who also tried, it was the worst thing that happened. Her body responded very, very badly to it. This means that her system doesn't respond well to extreme conditions. She cannot go, for example, to sauna, very hot, or a frozen lake and do a cold plunge, because her body basically shuts down. So even though for me it was the best thing that I could ever try, and I love the extreme cold and extreme heat, and it worked so well for me, it was completely different experience for my mother. And the same goes for healing something emotional. For some people, the best thing to do they can do is to sit with emotions, to really feel them, to let them move through it and let it out by screaming or crying, but really sensing and feeling it, which is my thing, for example. For others, it's actually more effective if they move more, if they punch things and maybe through dance, like a rage dance or another type of movement, and they release their anger like that, and it's a lot more effective. So the challenge here is really about learning how to listen to yourself and understand what is right for you in this moment, which only your body can tell you. And here is another thing. Like in the supermarket example I gave before, even though you already know what you like and which brands you prefer, it doesn't mean that you never switch and try something else, right? We all have foods that we eat a lot, maybe for a couple of weeks or months, and then suddenly we just don't feel like eating it anymore. So we start eating something different, which means that even though something is good and you like it, there still comes a time where you have enough of it and something else just feels more appealing. The same happens in healing and life in general. There will always come a time when something you once did or practiced just doesn't serve you as much as it did in the beginning. And that doesn't mean that it is now something wrong or bad. It just doesn't serve you anymore. But you will serve someone else very well. And even with information, you might naturally move towards something new because from this information that you have had and learned, you cannot get much out of it anymore. And it is now time to go deeper, to expand, or even learn something else. It's like, for example, learning mathematics. When you have learned counting, you don't just keep learning that over and over again. You start learning more complex calculations. That doesn't mean counting is now wrong because it no longer serves me the same way. One toxic trait that I see in a lot of people who are especially starting to heal and learning more about themselves is that when they, let's say they receive some information and they try something new, but it doesn't work. They didn't like it, or it just doesn't work for them. They instantly say something like, oh, this doesn't work for me, oh, this is terrible, or even toxic, or they say things like, see, like I said before, I cannot heal this. This is just who I am, and I just need to accept this for the rest of my life. It's how it's gonna be. This reaction is actually normal. We all might have experienced something like this. But this is more our ego, our rational mind that is resisting change because of the fear of getting more pain. Your ego is used to carrying the pain and trying to keep you safe. So, if healing means that you have to now face it instead of running away, it's only natural that your mind will put up a fight. It will resist. But all of that is simply trying to protect you. Your ego doesn't know beforehand what is truly healthy and what is toxic. And he also doesn't know if it's going to be better after or not. And when we don't know with certainty whether something will help us or heal us, we tend to prefer leaving things exactly the way as they are. Just don't move. Just to let you know, from my perspective, there is not one single little thing that is impossible to heal, transform, or improve. Every single little thing can be worked on, can be changed. And this is the part where many people struggle to believe, which I understand. It takes a very broad perspective, like a higher way of seeing the world, to be able to understand why I say this and why I so strongly believe in this. So, this kind of overwhelming feeling also shows up a lot when we start looking more inward, trying to feel better, release emotional pain. I call this a healing journey. So, some of us are aware that we have experienced a lot of negative things in the past. And those people always start to feel scared or very sad, saying things like, "Oh my God, I have so much thing to happen. For I have been through so much. I have so much to heal and work on. It will be impossible to heal and clear all this, which means I will never have peace or happiness because that's a lot of baggage." And there are even others that I've encountered that said things like, "Me? I have never experienced anything traumatic. I don't have traumas. Everything was normal and simple growing up." Which, by the way, that's not true. Because every human has gone through something, has some type of splits and traumas. It's just a matter of how the intensity and how it shows up. But if someone reaches to a point where they say something like this, that they don't have any trauma or everything was normal, this only shows how programmed their minds still are to see painful experiences as something normal and it's fine, it's actually not that toxic. So this means that they cannot clearly recognize what is toxic and what is healthy. But now, first of all, we don't get a better life, good feelings, peace, only after everything toxic and negative has been fully healed and released. People get really overwhelmed when they think that they have so much to heal and this will never be finished. But this idea comes from the belief that only when everything is done can you finally be happy and have peace. And this type of belief and mentality is how our parents also have teach us to, you only can do something if first you clean the room or eat everything, then you can have peace and fun. So this is also connected in a way. But this is a big misunderstanding. How it really works is quite different. After you release just one thing, you were able to look at one thing and fully face it and release it, you will already feel a difference, even feel lighter, depending on what it is. Even if there is still more to do or you have a lot more things, it doesn't matter because something already has shifted. So after each step, you will notice some kind of a change, some kind of a different feeling in you. That doesn't mean that each time you're released, you will instantly feel better and you will feel heavenly good. For example, I was in a time where I was faced with some of my bigger fear related to people pleasing. And once I released that, So very soon after, I got hit by an identity crisis and I didn't even knew anymore who I was. And that was not a great feeling. But even then, at that moment, I could never say, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't faced that fear or whatever. You still feel drawn to continue because you can feel it, you know, deep down that it is a lot better than how things were before. You feel a sense lighter, even though going through it is still hurting a little bit. Now, how do you know which theme or negative subject you should even start with? And how do you know when you should be finished and now it's time to move on? So, where to start? This is actually not that hard. It's pretty simple. Your body and your mind, your intuition already knows where it should go next. So, this is just a matter of noticing it. There is always some area in your life that gets stuck in your mind in a negative way. It can be something that you have experienced, or maybe someone did something to you, or something that you did that you regret, and so on. So you can just start there. Start where it feels heavy. But if this feels too overwhelming, which for most of people it does feel too much to face the thing that it's the most painful in you, it's okay. Then don't start there. Start somewhere else. You can start here, for example. There is always something or someone in your external life, in your day-to-day life, that is provoking a strong reaction in you. When you notice that you are responding strongly to something or someone, and you feel this intense and negative emotion, this is a good place to start. For example, maybe you always get super enraged when you are driving. Or when someone does something to you, you feel frustrated because it's always the same thing. Or maybe you cannot stop thinking about a stranger that did something that pissed you off. Or maybe it's something that happens at work over and over again, and so on. A lot of us think that something like getting enraged when you are driving is something unimportant. It's just because other people are doing it wrong and cannot drive. That is not true. So depending on the person, this actually has a deeper meaning. If you are able to look at it and see what is hiding behind this rage that you feel when you are driving or doing something, so depending on the person, it can mean that, for example, what they are actually feeling is frustrated about their life because they feel completely out of control, like they have no saying to it, or things are just not going their way right now. Or maybe they feel angry because they feel like nobody just listens to them, or something else. It always goes deeper than we think. So now, how do you know when it should be finished and it's time to move on? Again, your body, your system, your intuition is the only one able to tell you where you are at this moment and if it's affecting you still or not. So this means there is no exact timing. There are people who will be able to move on when they look at something in a couple of weeks, days, or months, and others in a couple of years. That all depends on the intense experience that they had. So this means this should not even matter how long it takes. You know that you have learned a lesson and released something when a similar situation or even the same appears, but you react differently. For example, let's say that there is this one person that when it comes to work, it always pisses you off. Now you go and you look at it and you are able to see what is behind it and release it. Now you go to work and suddenly just doesn't trigger you anymore. You look at the person and you are like, this is when you know that you have moved on. When you no longer feel this strong negative emotion and trigger towards it, that's when you know you have moved on. And you don't need to worry because there will always be something else that it's calling your attention, some trigger, some emotion. I mean, even for me, there is always something. But I don't get overwhelmed or sad because, oh, there is still so much, it's a never ending thing. Because right now, I already feel lighter and happier. So it's no longer a burden. So my bag, it's not full of negative stuff anymore. And because I've already done some healing and releasing, I already know how to deal with it, how to sit with it. So I'm not afraid of what will come or any external event. I feel confident because of it, because I know how to face it. I'm not afraid. And let's say that something comes and I don't know how to deal with it. I know I can ask for help. There is always a way. And that's why it doesn't overwhelm me or doesn't make me think about, oh my God, there's still so much. And you know what is the best thing that comes from seeing what is best for you in this way? When you choose according to your own feeling and it's you that make the decision on what I should try and do next. This kind of forces you to look inward and let yourself decide what is right for you instead of simply obeying to another person. So this means you are able to discover more about yourself, of who you are, and you become more authentic and less of a puppet, a people pleaser, where people can influence you so easily. And even more, here you are not forcing yourself and your body to do something that feels so heavy and uncomfortable and even terrible for you. You will come to a point where you cannot even do that to yourself anymore, forcing you. So here you are able to become even more of yourself and gaining more courage to express who you are, what you like, and what you want. Even though there are still a lot of people saying things like, oh, I know this person better than they know themselves. I know you better than you know yourself. In family dynamics or friendships, they say something like that. But that is not true. Nor should it ever be. This is a bad sign. Because this would mean that you are such a people pleaser who does not have your own identity. That means you never listen to yourself. The only person who truly knows what is best for you, it's you. There is no other person in the family, not even a spirit that knows you better than you and what is best for you. So be brave to make your own decisions. I hope this helped you in some way, and as usual, I wish you a very nice week.